Good morning. Today is October 27th, 2021, and this Wednesday I feel odd. This week I have decided to have my dear friend Jonas on the podcast to talk about a piece of work that is very impactful to him. One thing that we haven't had on the podcast yet is song lyrics, and as a songwriter and primarily a lyricist, lyrics are very important to me, so I am more than excited to have Jonas talking about song lyrics today from one of his favorite songs, 100 Years by Theo Katzman.
Cassie, I am honored to be a part of not only your podcast, but the first episode in your podcast, especially talking about poetry, lyrics, anything like that. You know we have great conversations. One of our most popular conversations of choice is existential dread. Don't we all love talking about that? And I feel like this song hits home. As she already mentioned, 100 Years from Now by Theo Katzman. It really kind of brings light to kind of where we are. I know a lot of times we kind of want to figure out our place in the world, or kind of, want to understand what everything that surrounds us is or means. And I think what this song does is kind of just put in a blunt way that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you do with it, how you do it. The fact that you are doing it is the most important thing. And a lot of people want to leave behind a legacy or some sort of memory of their lives. But time is undefeated, and no matter how far you go, you will at some point be forgotten. But that's a good thing, because that means you're able to do whatever you want to do. And I think the last line of it specifically brings it all together. So in the last part, just before the ending chorus, it goes, "Written on the wall of the temple where he sat, it said, 'Cut yourself some slack,' and then this basic fact. It made me laugh out loud, so deep but yet so simple. It said, 100 years from now, remember all new people." Pretty much, it's not to take so much of what life is seriously, or not to take everything, every decision you've made, everything you've done, every embarrassing thing, every successful thing. No one's judging you. No one's keeping score. And at the end with the chorus, it says, just get over you. So just get over it. Live life, and that's what we've been doing. Isn't that right, Cassie?
Yeah, and I think that one thing that is interesting about how this song is written is kind of the concept that we will always be forgotten, because a lot of people, especially creators, when making art, they see their art as a way to immortalize themselves and their identity. And in a way, art kind of immortalizes not just the creator, but also the listener. So it's interesting that there's an artist writing about, someday you will be forgotten, but that still gives you identity in this world because everyone's kind of walking the same path. It's interesting that they're writing about this topic when a lot of people view this topic as something for artists to make themselves immortal in a sense, or art as a way to make yourself immortal. But in the end, I guess a lot of art has lasting effect forever, and I think it kind of goes on throughout generations, but in the same way, eventually, as you said, time will go on and people will be forgotten. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
I think you're pretty much on the point, especially for artists creating their art to be immortalized, and it may not even specifically be the person, but rather the emotions that they went through, or rather the feelings that they had, sharing it with other people, and then being able to make the connection, sympathy, empathy, which at the end of the day, I think we can all empathize with what happens after we die, and what kind of situation we're in. And Theo says it really best. He just, you just find a horse and you ride it till it breaks. You just kind of do your thing, because at the end of the day, if it's right or if it's wrong, there really isn't a subjective or an objective answer to that. So really, you just have to do what you want to do, and at the end of the day, no one will be able to take it away from you.
Yeah, I think that speaks to a lot of people, like finding their purpose, or like what they were made to do in life. I think you find a lot of meaning in purpose in just experiencing your life and just living. And I like what you said about emotions being the things that are lasting, because I kind of like the idea sometimes when you think about, like, I'm a soul having a human experience. You know what I mean? So
Right.
really the most concrete things in your life are the things that you experience, because we experience life through this filter of emotions and perspective. So I think that's why art is so important, is because it kind of speaks to all these emotions, and the way that you're seeing the world is through perspective of emotions and empathy, and you grow on those by living and meeting other people and
then messing up too.
Yeah,
I mean, especially
and messing up.
a lot of people, myself included, always look back at embarrassing moments and are like, "Oh my gosh, if there was any way I could change it, if there was anything I can do to like not do that." But at the end of the day, who's gonna remember what embarrassing thing you did?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a comforting thing about,
Only-
I'll be forgotten someday. So
Only yourself. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I did something stupid. Good thing, like, it doesn't matter in the end. So I think, and that allows people to just be more open or more comfortable with themselves. A lot of people feel like they're hiding in a shell or not being able to open up because they worry what other people are going to think. And I do that too. But I try to remind myself, look, I mean, the only person that's worrying about me the most is myself. And everyone else is probably doing that too. So if we all just kind of focus on ourselves and do what we find enjoyable and kind of build and grow from those experiences, no one's going to remember the time that you pooped your pants in 3rd grade. It's just, it'll be forgotten. Just like that poop, you will be forgotten.
Or maybe it's kind of like you view your life as kind of like nothing matters in the sense, so everything does.
Might be a
Like
better
you're
example.
just like a collection of everything that has happened to you and everything that you were meant to do. So I don't know, in the end, everything being forgotten, you can leave emotions that you leave on people. I wrote this one line in poetry one time that was like, people may not remember your name, but they'll remember how you made them feel. So I think that's like a lasting thing. And so yeah, it's like less about dumb stuff that you
Not
did,
so
but
much-
more of like the collective of who you are from all of those experiences.
Yeah, rather your self-identity. Yeah, it's just transposing those feelings, emotions. And with any artist, I think they just want what they have experienced put to canvas, and then other people just click with it. A picture is
Yeah.
worth 1,000 words. So the fact that you're able to not say anything or not know who the artist would be 500 years from now, who could have even, painted that, who cares? If it gives you the same feeling as it did that artist, then it's done its job for that generation and so many more.
Yeah, there are a lot of songs and a lot of pieces of art and poetry and words that just stick with me that have become like mantras in my life, and I may not have remembered all the names of all the artists, but I don't know, I've always thought it doesn't, as long as my, like what I create and my art reaches someone in the same way that some art reaches me, and as long as it's important to someone, even if that person is just me, then that's all that matters. So that's kind of a tangent of what we were talking about.
Yeah,
but
it brings light to a similar message that song had, where it's, I think, as long as you are putting yourself out there and having emotions, being open about these emotions, doing anything, it doesn't matter if it was remembered or if someone saw it, because you saw it.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. That's
Yeah.
the only person that will matter.
and it was part of the collective living experience. You contributed
Yes.
to the world by just existing in it.
Right? And I think that's good enough.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Jonas. I'm really excited that you were here for the first episode that had song lyrics in it.
I'm
because-
excited that I was even able to be a part of it. I am honored, Cassie. Please don't let this be the last time that I am on here.
Of course. I've wanted to start a podcast with Jonas several times because we get into a lot of these existential, deep
You only
talks
heard the last of them.
very easily. Yeah. So, anyway, thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of It's Wednesday and I Feel Odd. And until next Wednesday, I hope you find some wonderful words to read.